Hey everybody, welcome to the Newbie Real Estate Investors of New Jersey podcast. My name is Joey Chan.
And I'm Jonathan Boyle. And we're here today with Michael Ray Figler. He is probably what you would call the definition of a hustler. He has grown businesses and made them public. He has been a fix and flipper, buy and holder, like wholesaler. He's even had car dealership. He's done everything. And in the sense that he knows how to make money. So stay tuned.
Hey Mike, thanks for coming on the show. So Mike, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you kind of do right now, and then a little bit about your background as well.
Well, that could be a long run. And thanks for having me on, guys, first and foremost. So my background is obviously a number of different industries, actually, but most people would know me from real estate. But I did start initially in the music industry from about 18 to 23. Okay. I actually worked in the house music industry and was DJing and producing. And then I ended up leaving that because it wasn't gratifying enough anymore. In an odd sense, in a different way. And I opened a car dealership. And then I had that car dealership. It was on Route 27 in Somerset, still there. And I took a parking lot, turned it into a car dealership, basically. And after about a year of doing that, I was like, I got to get into real estate because essentially I was sick of having to sell so many cars. I was like, I'm really good at sales. I understand fixing and repairing things to create value in a product and how to reposition a product. So I need to do this where there's more zeros and less volume.
Yeah.
So, and obviously you guys know Lenny Hernandez.
Yeah.
So Lenny and I have been really good friends for like 20 years. And ironically, we actually were flipping cars before we were flipping houses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that about him.
That's interesting. He didn't mention that.
Yeah, well, it's not like it was like our jobs. It's just Lenny and I were just always kind of like hustler guys, from the same like neighborhood. And he was older than me. I was about 17, 18 years old when we first met and hung out. And I bought a car from him within the first. He would find a good deal on a car. Does the same thing. He would find a good deal on a car and ultimately mark it up a couple bucks. And we became friends. We just loved, as car guys. Mm-hmm. And that's it. Lenny would find good deals. He would wholesale them over to me. I would take the cars and I'd customize them. And we'd never leave anything stock. We would do all kinds of crazy things. And then I would take it and sell it as a premium car after I drove it for a year. And did this.
Wow.
It was we did a lot of them. You know what I mean? I had 3-4 cars at all times. So did Lenny. That's what we did. And Lenny was starting to flip houses as well too. Right. So he had a few years advance on that with me. And then that's basically, I was like, I ran a business like doing this, like let's jump in and do this like, full time as a business. And he was really doing it, but like he was buying a house, fixing up, and doing random things, but not to the scale of what we do today.
Right.
So, and then the rest is honestly kind of history really from there. So, and then I actually real estate, and this is probably important for your viewers, this business gave me the freedom to start doing many other things. And that's where I started to segue into the cannabis industry and biotechnology spaces because I had money that I could invest in other things that interest me.
Right.
And what I learned in being a part of, like GB Sciences, we took the first cannabis company public. The learning experiences that I got in the corporate world and taking a concept and rolling it out into a multi-$100 million company, I was able to kind of come back here, and that's what we're working on doing right now, back in real estate.
Yeah. Nice. Wow. So how did you get into real estate?
Lenny Hernandez. Again, it's kind of the same story.
Right.
We had the car flipping and things like that.
Yeah.
And once I had a car dealership and I was buying and fixing cars, it was just kind of a natural segue. And I was like, hey, Len, I sold a dealership. I was like, let's do this. And he never had he didn't know where to fit me, because he wasn't, he would buy a house and he was fixing it up. He wasn't doing what he's doing today because he was still kind of handling other business as he was transitioning it. And I told him I want to get in on a deal. And he was like, I have literally nothing to do. I don't have anything. And I was like, I don't care. I was like, I'll sweep floors. I was like, I need to learn the industry. And he's like, the only thing I can do is give you a $10 an hour demolition job.
Yeah.
And the irony of this is that I was driving an S500 at 25 years old. So 24, 25 years old. 24, I think it was when I bought it. And so that was pretty much, I went on the job and I worked there for Lenny tells this story the best because he put me there and he's like, I can't believe you're doing this. I pulled up in my S-Class with my boots and everything. Lenny shows up 3 days later and there was 4 guys working under me.
What?
I asked him if I could hire more help, that I could get it done quicker. And, building and construction wasn't like his forte. He was kind of buying them, putting contractors on them, let me know when they're done, you know? He wasn't no one was thinking about scaling at that time. It was just flipping houses on the side, kind of.
Yeah.
And, he said he showed up on the 3rd day, and I basically was like, you mind if I hire this guy for like $14 an hour? And I mean, I'm getting paid 10. I was paying them 12. I'm getting 14, 15. And I was smart enough that I hired one guy. What I did was I hired 2 cheap laborers at first, and 1 smart guy that knew one guy that was like a $30 an hour guy.
Yeah.
And that's how I did that. Lenny, can I get this? So I was getting like $15 an hour for these 3-4 guys, and I used the overage to quantify the one guy, and that's it. Brought him a job for 2 weeks, teach me this, that, boom, boom, boom. All right, great, got it. Goodbye. And that was it. And the rest was pretty much history from that point on. Then he was like, all right, we got to do this, because he was missing that.
Yeah.
And, construction and design wasn't his forte, I had a knack for it. I was already doing it with cars and everything else. And even creating music, I understood the mechanics of building and creating things and taking them apart, repairing them, so to speak.
Nice.
Wow. So I guess when you started doing all that, what was the next evolution of you guys starting your business? Because I know you're working under him at that point, in a sense.
No, we was never.
No?
No.
Okay.
We were 50-50 partners from like day one. I think after that house, it became, there was more to that. Basically, then all of a sudden, we both learned about share sales like at the same time. Lenny's like, I met this guy. His name is Mike. I think we should call him. And we call him up, and he starts telling us like, hey, this house sold a share sale. And like, if you go knock on the door and find them, like there's like 9 days left, and this person can, you might be able to buy the house from them because they have this right. So that sparked the wheels right there, and started reading and just started asking questions. And I went to this house, and no one was there. And this is a great lesson for anybody. I tell this when I'm out and I speak. My first deal, I went to the house that was vacant. No one lived there. Mm-hmm. What do you think I did? The basics that nobody ever seems to know the answer to. I just knocked on the neighbors' doors. Hey, who are these people? Where do they live?
Yeah.
And I think I made it to the 4th house on the left, or excuse me, the 3rd house on the right told me that the 4th house on the left was friends with the wife. I walked down over there. Luckily, someone wasn't home. At that time, I came back around 5:30 in the evening, caught them home. Yes, blah, 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 blah. Actually, she moved over to Washington Avenue. Could you please just give her my number, have her call me? That would be great. I'm interested in buying the house from her, and kind of like, vaguely told her the scenario, which was obvious. The whole street knew.
Yeah.
So that's it. The woman called me up. I met her the next morning, day 8. And I basically told her I could pay her off and get some money. She owed like $120,000. Mm-hmm. And we offered her $140,000 for the house. So she got $20,000, which, she wasn't aware of. I didn't even know it had sold at the sheriff's sale because it was literally my first lead. But like within 48 hours of learning that process, I had $100,000 profit in the pipeline on my very first deal.
Oh my God.
And that was from that point on, Lenny's like, high five for this. We're doing this.
Yeah.
So, he was flipping a couple a year, and all of a sudden, like, we just literally like got the one, got it going. And I had to take that as my opportunity to learn further about construction.
Yeah.
So again, I bought a $500 pickup truck so I could park the Benz. And I started showing up in my $500 pickup truck, and I hired guys, and I sat there and hammered, and I did demo, and I did, because I needed to, if you want to be successful in the industry, you need to understand all the moving parts, right? Mm-hmm. And ultimately, you're dealing with product. Okay, This is a product, and it's going to come down to the quality of product. And if I can't quantify what a quality product is and how I can create it and get there, meaning knowing all the line items, how can I really be good at this industry? How am I going to be successful? How can I scale it? So I needed to get my hands dirty on a couple of these at first. And that's basically what I did. And then Lenny and I think literally 2 weeks later, got our second one. It was a 3-bedroom, what do you call them? It was like one of the houses are shared.
Duplex?
Duplex. Mm-hmm. Sorry, man. But it wasn't really, but it actually wasn't really a duplex. It was like a 4-plex.
Oh, okay.
And anyway, 2-3 weeks later, we had that in the contract. So it was like, all right, great, we need money. So we started raising, called up my buddies, he called his buddies. We got through buddies. We bought these 2. Yeah. And then we sat down and we're like, all right, we have a business. Like, we can do this. And, we're really, and Lenny was really good. He was always a good networker. And, I was more of the infrastructure numbers and boots on the ground operator guy, kind of guy.
Right.
And basically, he cast the net out, and I would knock him down. And the first year, I think we did like 17, our very first year in business, full blown buy, fix, flip.
Oh wow.
So yeah, and then from there, just
so you guys didn't even like start flipping
no wholesaling
contracts. Yeah.
Nope. That was years later. We did everything A to Z.
Wow.
Buy it, fix it, sell it.
Roughly what year was this?
2005, I want to say.
Okay.
2005. Yeah.
Wow.
I think it was June 2005, and then come January 2006, we were like it was full force, and like 2007 was like a killer year for we were like whoa. So
you were doing really well.
Yeah, we broke our second year in business together. We broke $2 million in profits, and at a cost of like 25 to 30% in hard money to our investors.
Right.
So we netted basically around about 1.5 million in our second year of business, flipping houses.
That's
so
crazy.
and we weren't even and no wholesaling, wholesaling.
That's
So
crazy.
but the spreads were $100,000 on them. So it wasn't. You really think about it. You flip 25 houses at an average of 85,000.
Yeah.
It's kind of about what it was. Some were 50, 60, some were 110, this and that.
Right.
But we always kind of went and aimed for $100,000.
Yeah.
That's always been my forte right up until today.
Right.
I've never changed that.
I mean, I think it was a little easier back then to do that.
Yes and no. There was no tech,
Right.
no social media.
Right.
Not that I ever used it,
Yeah.
but it was literally grassroots style.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it depends on how you look at it.
Right.
Oh, okay. Well, back then hard money was actually more expensive too, right? Or
Correct.
was it? Okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot of factors.
Right.
And at that time, and keep in mind when I told you when I started, I didn't start in an up. I started at the peak and it was doing nothing but going down. So I actually learned this industry in a down market,
Right.
and while the market was tanking.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting experience. But and I can gladly tell you that I did not keep to that $100,000 model very soon when it did. At that point, I had built a big house up in North Jersey. I built a construction crew out. This was basically like year 3. Economy collapsed. At that point, Lenny was starting to do more. We were getting more of the share of sales to actually on the bidding side of things then, because we were doing a lot of redeeming at first. And then we were like, all right, well, we'll start bidding now because we need more inventory. We're getting bigger. And that's when the wholesaling kind of came in. When the market dropped off, Lenny stuck into the wholesaling and things like that. And I had developed operations in a construction crew.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just natural that, we kind of we basically separated by, because of the economy and default, and mainly because I moved like an hour and a half away. But that's how I taught myself how to buy virtually. I've been buying houses virtually for 13 years now.
Oh, wow.
I stopped going to look at houses a long time ago.
Wow. I got to learn that because
You create parameters and tiers. Like I have tiers for cost per square foot of light remodels, $22 to $26, and more heavy remodel be like $26 to $32, so on and so forth. Renovations getting into this up to $40-something, and then the real heavy stuff and the gut jobs are usually around high 40s to low 60s. So you're within a very small 20% parameter on each one before it tiers to the next tier.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much it. So if I look at a house and I know that it's got, a 60 amp service and plaster walls, vinyl side, this, and that, I know I'm at the top tier. I got a gut, so I'm at $60. If I've got good siding and this, and that, I'm around the 22 to 24 on a remodel. And so if there's hardwood flooring, if there's already existing HVAC, there's no existing HVAC, and now in tier 2, we just moved up $8 a square foot because we got to add an HVAC system in and do reducting and things like that.
Right.
So I broke it down to mechanics.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I'm just here absorbing everything you're saying because I know that's one of the biggest things that myself am what's the word?
Still learning.
Yeah, still learning. There you go. That at
those,
least that.
those words work.
Yeah, those words. Input words.
It's really a nonstop learning. I mean, I still learn to this day. They're fewer and much further between, but they're more like the intricacies, the legality. I mean, at this point, I've read, I've kind of been through everything.
Yeah.
You name it: cesspools, septics, contaminations, EPA. I mean, literally, I've done it all. And I've built all kinds of construction at this point.
Yeah.
So it started off with homes, and then it ran into buildings like we're in.
Right. Yeah. So what areas do you do your real estate in? Only in New Jersey, or are you outside of New Jersey as well?
Well, now with the things we're doing here, I'm back and I'm solely in Jersey. but because we're pilot projecting here. But I've done, Vegas, Florida. I've had real estate all over, never in a heavy active way. New Jersey was always so consolidated, and honestly, I want to say it's a tough market, but when you're really good at what you do, it's an easy place to kind of rise above, I guess you could say.
Right.
I hear some of these stories from guys, and about I had to do some losses and things like that. Like, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, I've never lost on one single deal, and I've done well over 1,000. But that's because of the way I explained to you how I look at the mechanics of things. There was a couple that I got very small checks, but I own the construction company that I'm hiring for my investment company, and I'm paying myself a paycheck over here in the end.
Yeah.
So there was 2 closings that I can remember that stand out, and one of them I got $2,550, but I probably paid myself $25,000 to build it, and it was in the down economy. It was a 3-family. It had rental coming in, so my worst one, I made $35,000 by the time you look at the rent I collected for the few months until I flipped it. My $2,500 check in the end, and I probably paid myself $20,000 in construction. So that was one of my worst ones. But if I hired a contractor and I was just the investor, I would have lost.
Yeah.
Because the contractor would have been 20% higher on the fees to build it, which would have been that $20,000 that I obviously really kind of took anyway. Yeah. But to get the $2,500 at that point would have been a loss, and who knows the timelines. I built it like that. I could have been held on longer. Could have easily turned into a loss if I had hired outside help.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Makes sense. So, quick question, just it's scaling back a little bit. So how did you find that help that you were looking for when you got started and everything? Just in case anyone here in the audience.
Oh no, that's go. I don't care what industry you're in. That's the biggest challenge. It is, and no matter what. Luckily, what we're doing now, we have very high level people who are looking to come into this. When you're talking about contracting and anything that's in the blue collar workforce. If it's outside unions and it's private, it's very hard. It took me many years to build my crew, and now I have a crew of now we're down. I was a crew of 40-something men at one point. Actually, I have a picture I'll show you guys. It was in 2014 or 15. It's a picture of me with about 50 people standing behind me, all in Intercapital, and it probably had a dozen that weren't in the photo. But at one point, we were 45 to 50 people a day working every single day on anywhere from 8 to 12 projects at one time. So
that's insane.
That's right. It's just scaling that was very difficult. It took quite a few years, but I had to learn a lot of growth myself, and go through trials and tribulations. But it's tough. It's very tough. Ultimately, it was easier for me because I actually learned a lot of these things. I'm a craftsman. When you guys in this space, I design everything we do.
Yeah.
So that gave me a lot of credibility. So when people come into work, it was actually very funny because even one of my guys made jokes about it years ago. He said anytime we'd hire a new guy, they'd always have to they wait and let him find out. They wouldn't really give him the warning because most people would assume the guy driving around the fancy cars with the big house doesn't know much.
Right.
And every now and then I'd go to my job sites, and this is a trick that I would advise you guys: get good at one thing, and it's real easy. Learn how to hang moldings around a window, and then go to your job site one day and put $100 on a table and challenge somebody to a trim off. I've never lost, and that's how I built a lot of respect by doing little things like that with my crew. To show them that I'm willing to do the work that they're willing to do, that I'm not just driving around a fancy car all day, that I did that work to get to where I was. And I gained the respect of the men. And ultimately, I've had the same staff for a very long time now. I don't think we've only hired maybe 2 or 3 people in the last 3 years.
Nice.
I mean, it's mainly been the same group of 15, 16 guys that have been with me for 8 years now, 8, 9 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
So they came up with it, and I let them share, a bit. They have to. They helped me build this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think that's important to give them a little bit of your win as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because if they see only you're winning and they're still making that, $10, $15, $20 an hour, then, they're not going to stay too long.
Right. Yeah, I got guys that swing a hammer for me that make 6 figures.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
and they there was at one point the Michael Figler automobile program here too. So if you wanted a new car, just ask the boss for a loan. So that was actually a good leg up for the guys like that one. I was like, I just got to buy you guys cars. Not a big deal.
Yeah. Nice.
No, but they're great guys. I couldn't do it without them. So absolutely. And we try to do things together as a group. We do. We barbecue a lot. When the summer comes, we go up to my place up on top of the mountain, and my crew comes over, and we spend Saturdays and Sundays. They bring the kids up, and so we try to do things as a group to enjoy what we build together.
Right.
So my guys built my house for the most part. So I tell them all the time that my place is your place. They have their family. They want to go on a weekend. Pool is yours. Use the whole outdoor area, whatever. So that's the kind of way that you need. That's the way it should be.
Yeah, that camaraderie.
Yeah, we like hanging out. You know, my guys like when I show up on a job and I sit there and I start talking stuff, and you know, that's cool. You know what I mean? They get that I appreciate and respect what they do.
Right.
And you know, as a craftsman, you know, I was able to teach them a lot of different things. So my guy who leads my crew now started as a painter. You know, he's now an A-tech. He now crafts furniture because we sat in my garage and I wanted to make certain things for my home that I couldn't buy. So I went and bought the wood, and I'm showing my guys I'm crafting and making crazy chandelier lights over my billiard room and things like that, and we're custom made coffer ceilings. I mean, we fabricate a lot of our parts too.
Yeah,
we fabricate because we do a lot of concrete work. So we build our own molds, and then we pour, and we make balusters and handrails and all kinds of treads and all kinds of stuff. So in a lot of our homes, when you go to a lot of the houses I flip, you're going to see custom made products. It's on a higher end home, anything middle to higher end.
Right. Nice.
Because we like to create I like the house needs to have feng shui to me. It needs to flow consistently. So I don't like a different stair tread in the back than the front, and so on and so forth. So it all has to be uniform and the same. So rather than relying on the suppliers and things like that, we found that, you know, creating a lot of our own masonry products was a good leg up, fast, and we were able to do really creative things that would be really, really costly. That would be, you know, pouring retaining walls and things like that, like something that would be a $20,000 job. You know, a crew of 5-6 guys can set up the forms and bang it out in a week, and it's done. Where I'm waiting for a week for my delivery of retaining block, you know, and it's a better product, and it costs me a fraction of the cost. So all those ways. Yeah. I mean, do you guys even take advantage of incentives from the state?
No.
See, every time I flip a house and I buy a furnace, I make sure I buy a furnace that's over 92% because I get $500 back from the state of New Jersey.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, you guys do that. A lot of people miss these little things.
They don't understand that.
Yeah, and if you buy that with the package of the higher efficiency gas furnace, all of a sudden that $500 turns to $1,500.
Right.
Okay, I did not know that.
Do you know how much your average 96% furnace costs gas for your average 3 bedroom, you know, 2.5 baths, whatever you want to call it? It's about a 3.5 ton handler. They're $550. Yeah. The state just gave me $500 for it. The water heater is about $500 for the 80% high efficiency tankless system. You get those for about $500-600. That's $1,100 in materials that the state will give you $1,500 for.
Wow.
Times 25 houses a year. You know, whatever anybody does.
Yeah. Well, my HVAC guy does all the paperwork and everything for me. So he'll send it out.
He has to.
I'll get the rebate. Yeah.
Yeah, he has to do it. It's the whole license thing and all that.
Right.
It's cool when you do an apartment building though. That's a fun check though. All of a sudden, state of New Jersey sends you a check for like $30,000 on the job. You're like, nice.
Oh yeah. I love that one. Yeah. So how many companies have you brought public? Just
this is an odd.
Really,
I was just affiliated with 2, and there's a third one that I've been advising for the last couple of years. That I'm stepping down from all these positions in 2020, though. Okay. But I call GB Sciences the real one, and I was affiliated with another one that went public, that's still public, and one that's about to go public.
Nice. Man, that's the man I learned from.
It all started with flipping houses, man.
Yeah.
That's the coolest part about the story. This industry gave me the ability to have the freedom to be creative and go on other ventures that I essentially got to learn things from that I was able to bring back to this industry. You know, it made me much better at it. I actually got really good at this industry by building that company. In 2014, I always had a second home.
Right.
And it was in, you know, at one point it was in Las Vegas very regularly, and I would fly back and forth constantly. And during that time, I mean, I told you I was already buying virtually. Yeah. Most of my personal portfolio in real estate was built. The moment I went out there, I was like, man, well, I'm not going to be there to flip houses and do this and that. So maybe I should just start getting some rentals. Mm-hmm. You know, next thing you know, like I was out there for like 3 years. I came back in 2016 and like 17, 18, I'm like doing my numbers. I'm looking where my rents are. Then I repositioned some of the rents. You sit back and you look and you're like, oh my God, I got $20 million worth of crap. I didn't even realize I had this because I was really focusing on that other thing. And that was the clear indicator, like, let's come back and do this industry. And so we're looking to disrupt some things in it, let's say.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, awesome. I'm looking forward to hearing about that later on. But,
yeah. Is it okay to give a little preview of what you're going to be doing?
We can talk about it.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Well,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, this is probably not gonna get released until after your
This
actual release.
Yeah, this is probably
Anyway.
like this
That'll
is
take
probably
a while
like
for
this
us,
is probably
yeah.
like 5-6 weeks out at least.
oh, we're not.
Even there yet.
Oh, okay. Got
We
it.
don't want to. I don't want to say anything, but we're going to be more than that. We have more preparing to do.
Okay.
We're building a lot. We're bringing a lot of the right people to take this to the level we expect to.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
So yeah, another few months for us.
Got it.
So you'll know.
So
Yeah.
okay.
No.
So back to the real estate. Sorry, like I know we're all over the place here.
That is still real estate.
Yeah. Well, it is. But so I know you seem to, like as we spoke with Lenny, and he seems to be more about like finding the deal, and you're more of like the technical aspect, how to save money and how to like build out the product. What do you prefer, flipping houses or flipping the contracts, and why?
I have no preference. Not that I do and I don't. I mean, I actually like doing because this is fun. I honestly like dealing with people, even though I really haven't much in the last 10 years, because most of the purchases have just been automated or the share of sales. I like wholesaling. That's been fun for me because I'm finding myself teaching a whole new realm of investors while I'm wholesaling. Because one of the things, I don't know if you guys dove into it with Lenny, when we wholesale a deal, the thing I kind of brought to the mix back was we create an entire package where we explain to people, this is what you're paying for it. This is what it's going to take to get it to, a premium product valuation. And this is, the timelines and the costs associated with it. So if you buy it for this much and you put in this much, you should be able to reap about this much net profits here. It has like some of the parameters of the loans and things like that. Not everyone has a loan. And ultimately, it's like handing an investor, like, here you go, it's a full package. Like, and ultimately they know it's coming from us. So they know the numbers are real. They double check the numbers, it has validity, and we're able to make sure that we have a solid wholesale deal because they're not all solid. And that's the one part I probably don't like about wholesale. I like dealing with the retail public because ultimately people love my product. And many realtors will tell you that they don't advise it, but I meet a lot of the homeowners who buy my houses because there's a lot of unique things in it. Sometimes they even ask, can we meet the builder? When they realize the builder's a seller, he designed it and this and that. So they always have a curiosity. And the coolest feeling to me is that. I mean, I have gotten some messages from people from both sides, the wholesalers that I've helped, and I get these very inspirational messages that are overwhelming and very kind. And then when I sell a home to someone who loves my vision and what I created, I mean, there's no better feeling that, like, I'm getting paid and you love me for it. Like, that's great. And your family's now going to come here and create a whole new story in this place. And I love being able to do that. And that's why I have very particular methods on how I renovate houses. I do a lot of things a lot of people don't do. I spend a lot of time, like, making sure a basement looks like it did when the house was built. I go out of my way to take out every little screw, every little hook, every little shelf. Because when someone walks through that house and they get down the basement, when it has that sterile feel that, like, there's not even a shelf on the thing, there's no signs of the previous people. Family had a whole story there and everything, right?
Yeah.
It gives them the ability, they see this really as theirs, not someone else's that they're moving into. This is brand new to them, brand new to their family. And that makes a big difference when you're selling a product to somebody. A lot of guys I talk to in wholesale, they know nothing about the retail market. And I'm like, how can you be in this industry and not understand how the public views product and quantifies it and what makes a buyer say, I want this to be mine?
Yeah.
That's what I focus on. And when they let me know that, they love it, they want it to be mine, that's the greatest feeling ever. It's actually better than the wholesaler feeling. I'm like, yeah, he'll go make some money, he'll forget about me. But those people will live in that house and cherish it for as long as their family chooses to. And that's something you can't buy, that good feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
So to get paid for it is like awesome.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. We just sold one in Union, and the buyer loves us. She loves us, and
I've had buyers reach out to me on Facebook, like, while in contract, like, to look and source me out.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, she called me up, because the realtor asked me, hey, is it okay if she called you? I said, yeah, that's fine, no problem. She called me up, and then she asked me, hey, I have these couple of things I want to customize my house a little bit more, but I don't want to hire somebody else. I want you to come.
I've had that many times.
Yeah.
Many
So I
times.
was like, all right.
And I actually say no unfortunately, because once we move on, and it's not that we don't want to help them, we do help them, but my crew doesn't come out because typically it's something little, and then we have we have guys that are in our Rolodex, our vendors call them, and we'll hand a vendor off to them for anything that they ask for. But I tried, like, even when I build new construction houses, I build it the way I want to build it. I don't. I've had people, when I've tried to pre-sell and things like that, I had people come in, and I had one experience where they're like, well, we want this, and that. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm sorry, I can't sell you the house. Like, the finishes were just bad. And the business side of me said, I can't do that in case this goes bad. First and foremost, deposit or no deposit, it's just the way my brain works. And ultimately, a lot of people think about one thing they like, but they don't think about how that one thing connects with the other 25 things. Right. And most people don't think that way. Yeah. And then they'll build it and get it away, and they go, oh. So I know that a lot of people have that anxious and overzealous excitement, and they can tend to make mistakes. So I just try to build what I think they want. And ultimately, I found that has been, 100% success rate. A lot of people love it, as you said. And when I get those phone calls back, I'm like, you got to call this guy. And we hand somebody over to them, unfortunately. Yeah. But that's why I don't do builds for people, because I don't. As much as I love the follow up, right? We're a machine here, so it's kind of hard to continue to service a client.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I mean, this is like very unique, like because I came from the pure contracting background and not investor background.
It's a good background to come from. It's easy to become an investor. It's not easy to start off as a contractor.
It isn't. I've had where I did an addition on a home. One of my client was a flipper. This was like 2006. My client sold the house. The new buyer I love the house. I want to know who did it. I was like, oh my God, maybe she's gonna complain. She's like, no, she wants you to put an addition on the house for her. I was like, oh, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah, that's good. We actually get a lot of inquiries. I've had for years, at least 10 years. I can't even tell you, people even on Facebook have just they figure out who did it, because I advertise nothing. I do nothing on social media. Never did. Yeah. And you get sued a couple times by friends and things like that. You know what I mean? Some third cousins and things like that start coming out of nowhere, and they slip and fall in your pool. You're like, I don't want to be on social media. But no, you hear war stories and things, so we're a little more precautious with that. But I get asked to build people's homes all the time. We have to unfortunately tell them, no, we're sorry. We're not open to the public.
Yeah. No, I do the same. A lot of investors. Because of podcasts, because we do a lot of events, they say, hey, oh, you're a contractor? Oh, give me your card. I'm like,
yeah, you guys are putting yourselves out there. You're going to get it a lot. Yeah. And your work's good. I've seen your work. You guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I've noticed your houses. There's a few people who stand out online. I go, they got it. They get it. They get it. Not everybody gets it.
No. But I'm like, well, we only do it for ourselves, our JV partners, and ourselves, and that's it. We don't do it for other, flippers and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. You're better off.
Because I would need 100 guys, because there's a lot of flippers out there.
And I had 50 men at one point. Yeah. And let me tell you, there's a reason why I'm down to what's now, I don't know how many guys there are. How many guys we have? About 15, 16 guys, right? For the core group, the 3 crews. Yeah. Nice. The 3 core crews, that's how I set to run my projects. Mm-hmm. I have a group of 5 guys that go in and do the mass prep work, so we have a demo crew. They go in and they do the demo first, right? And then my bones crew, I like to call them, because they come in and they make all the bones and put everything where I want it, this, that. And then the subs can tend to fall in right line behind them. Yeah. And then my bones crew comes back and does all the finished detail work. I do not leave any detail work to subcontractors. It's just there's been too many variables with them. Mm-hmm. So I'm better off subbing out all mechanicals, drywall, everything inside the walls. Yeah. Even the siding and the roofing, all that good stuff. And then it comes down to it. My guys can trim and hang doors and put cabinets in a house. In 1 week, we could do a whole house. So literally, we do a lot of 4,000 or 5,000 square foot houses. So even when they have 4 bathrooms at most, 2 guys, you know what I mean? Yeah. One guy's going to be in this bathroom. That the regular sized bathrooms will be done in 2.5 days by one guy. So it's pretty simultaneous. I do really fast work. Yeah. Really fast. Yeah. I've done 11, 12-day full remodels and things like that, full blown. Wow. Yeah, Lenny and I just did a full gut rehab in 5.5 weeks, and we sold, I believe it's the most expensive house per square foot ever sold in Edison. $356 per square foot. Our target was $385. We purchased for $170. 85 was the project, and we were shooting for like $385 was my safe number, but I knew we'd get about $4. I decided to put about $115,000 in it. Didn't tell any at all. And we sold it for $442.5. We had a bidding war on it.
Nice.
Oh wow.
So it was a 3-bedroom, 1-bath home.
Wow. That's beautiful.
3 Prescott. Sold it for $442.5 it was.
Yeah.
So we ended up going about, $60,000 over. We went 30 grand over in budget to get 60 more grand in profit.
Hey, that's
100% return on investment.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's nice.
That's how you have to treat it. You have to look, I'm going to invest this in the roof. What return can I get if I, choose this option, or this option? And we break it down that analytically.
Beautiful. Moving forward, what are you guys currently working on? Not the future, but currently.
Well, you're in it.
Okay.
I've considerably scaled back for what I'm working on right now, and doing a lot of the active flipping. Lenny and I are wholesaling, building, and fixing, and so we're kind of doing a little bit of everything. Not at full force like we had in the past, or like 2018, I should say.
Right.
But that's because we're doing a lot of planning and architecture right now for what we're developing.
Yeah.
So in real estate and technology space.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So if you were to talk to a newer investor or a new investor, what's the best piece of advice you'd give to someone?
So we're talking about a flipper, right?
Either or.
When I think of investor, I think of the guy I'm borrowing money from when I first started.
Yes.
He's investing in me.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
No,
so
So I mean, as a flipper, I mean, know your product. That's what I always tell people. People want to get in this business. Don't be like everyone else. Honestly, I don't watch a lot of the gurus because like 90% of them don't actually flip houses. Like I know some of these guys, and so you take guidance from those that are actually really doing it and learn the product. If you don't learn the product, you're just, to me, you're chasing. It's like a street game, and you're not going to survive the next time that we're at the doorstep of a correction in the market. And we're not even talking about just the real estate market. We're talking about the entire, we're a global market now, whether people want to realize it or not, okay? Mm-hmm. This isn't just the United States anymore. And everything's happening in real time. So things are going to be affected a little bit more drastically. We have a very unique collection happening. We've had a 10-year consistent positive run in real estate. That's the largest ever in history. Yeah. So, obviously we're here. And so a lot of what we're doing now, to go back to the other question, is that building and that plan, that new company we're launching is geared up to be readily available for that and to be able to provide services to the public, essentially. We want to bridge the gap between the investor and the homeowner. Everyone likes a good deal. I don't care who you are. That's why stores have sales.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Everyone likes a good deal. So we believe that the public should have the same types of tools and benefits that the investor has or doesn't even have, and we want to put it all in one platform and one place for them. And that place will be the open market. So it's not just particular properties or wholesale auction, it's everything. So we're spending a lot of time trying to make sure that we're developing that correctly, so when we do introduce it to the public, we'll be able to provide just as good a customer service as products we build.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Joey, I don't know if you have any other questions.
No, I'm good, man, with the questions. But we're gonna have another segment, so we can ask you all then.
yeah, it sounds good. I appreciate you guys, asking me to be on and stuff.
Yeah,
yeah.
No, it really meant a lot.
To have you.
Where can people reach you at if it's okay with you?
Michael Ray Figler is my Instagram and my Facebook. That's pretty much all I believe I have. So that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
And look for our launch in second quarter of this year in 2020.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much,
it.
guys.
Mike, thank you.
No problem.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.